Hello Z9 users, it's Haj here. When I received an email notification from Nikon that there is an available firmware update for the Nikon Z9, then I thought that update will bring the features that the Z8 have, but not in the Z9. But actually this firmware 4.0 for the Z9 bring completely different things. Apart from the usual fix this, improve that features in the firmware, there are also something new, such as the new bracketing settings, the new size option for JPEG recording, lower ISO settings for analog video, new options for high-res zoom speed. One thing that Nikon brought back is also the shutter delay mode, which I don't really find the point, because the shutter delay mode was very useful for DSLR camera. It allows the mirror to settle before you take the picture. But because mirrorless camera do not have this mirror which is going up and down when you take a picture, I think Nikon was right actually in the first place to remove it in the menu option. Instead, I would rather use the self-timer option, which gives more flexibility. But the things that interested me most are the new features, the auto capture, but also the fact that Nikon listened to our critics and now extended the buffer time for the pre-release capture. I made a video about pre-release capture with the Nikon Z9, which should also be the same for Nikon Z8. And one of the critiques that I made was that the 30-second buffer duration before you need to remove your finger from the shutter and then restart again the pre-release capture. It was too short. But now Nikon extended it to 300 seconds, so that's a long 5 minutes. It's not unlimited yet, but I think it's long enough. And finally, auto capture, the main reason why you are here, I guess. Auto capture actually allows the camera to automatically take photos or record video if a certain condition that you define have been met. So let's dive into it then. Right after I updated my firmware, I went straight to try the auto capture function without even reading the extended manual, and that was a mistake because I could not figure out how it works. The menu is not quite intuitive. However, after reading the manual, the process is actually easy and quite straightforward. First thing first, you have to change your image area to full frame FX. Do it also for video. Yeah. And for photos, you have to set your drive mode to burst. It does not matter which one, just choose any. Now go to shooting menu, scroll down to the bottom of the menu and then enter auto capture. And then you will be greeted with this kind of confusing screen. Before I read the manual, I was like, well, I should not start the auto capture yet, right? I want to set it first. And then I went to this select user preset, and then I tried then to adjust the preset, but actually it doesn't work. That actually is the wrong approach. Actually, you have to go to start, and here is where you can set your auto capture condition statements. Keep in mind though that they are AND statements, not OR statements, which means the camera will only take photos or record movies if and only if all the conditions are met. On the top left capture criteria menu, you can choose if you want to use a motion as the criteria or subject detection or distance. It is a little bit confusing, this info on the bottom right, because you have an OK check mark and a zoom in OK. What does it mean? The OK button here is to select or deselect the criteria that you choose. The zoom in button, on the other hand, is used to save the change that you've made. Choosing motion will tell the camera to take picture or record movie if the subject is moving in the frame. It's like the motion detector for the light in the front of an entrance door. Choosing the subject detection will tell the camera to take picture or record movie once the camera detects the subject. And choosing the distance will tell the camera to take pictures or record movie if the subject is within the specified range of distance. Of course, they already have their default value, but very likely you want to change them. And you can change the motion variables by going to the advanced motion menu. Click OK, and now to change the speed you rotate the rear dial, and to change the subject size you rotate the front dial. A speed of 1 means that the camera will detect slow to a faster speed, while higher speed value will only detect then a fast moving subject. For the size of the subject, size 1 means that the subject will be about the size of 4 focus points or larger, and size 5 means that the subject will be bigger than 34 focus points. In addition, as a bonus here, you can also change the direction of the motion. Press the zoom out button and you can check again, look again at this confusing menu. Always remember the OK button is to select or deselect, and the zoom in button is to save your settings. So yeah, you can say, like, let's say the subject will move from this to here, then you can then set those, but remove the other direction and don't forget to save them. Now let's move on to the next criteria. So you press the E button this time to go back, and let's go to subject detection. Subject detection can only be used if your lens is capable of autofocusing on your Nikon Z9. So select the advanced subject detection by pressing OK, and then here again you can set the subject size, and subject size in subject detection criteria is actually working the same way as in the motion criteria. You can also set the type of subject that the camera should detect by pressing the zoom out button, and here you can choose then all subject type, animals, people or vehicles, and then click OK. Now let's set the next parameter. To set the nearest distance, use the focus point, you know, that red square. Move it to the nearest point you want, and then press the iPhone button. Now you see here that it set the nearest point. And then now go to the farthest point you want, and then press the shutter button, and I have now here the far distance to 32 meters. If you are using a Z lens, and then you will be able actually to fine-tune those settings by using the rear dials for the near distance and the front dial for the far distance. Once that's been set, and then just go back to the main menu. Another criteria that you can set as well is actually the area that will trigger the camera. So go to area and then click OK. Clicking on the zoom out button will deselect all area, while clicking on the zoom in button will select all area. Selected areas are in gray, while deselected areas are in red. You can use the OK button to select or deselect an area. So let's deselect that, for example. Yeah. So now, if the subject is in that center area, the camera will not be triggered them. And if you want to re-enable them again, you can click the OK button on each of those areas. And you can imagine how tedious that will be if you want to select like half of the frame. But there is a neat trick to do it quickly, is to just tap on the screen, and that will select or deselect all the 9 focus points around that area that you tap. Once you're done, and then just go back to the previous menu by clicking on the E button. And finally, the last settings that you can change are the timing options. So on the record in time selection, you can choose how long the camera will shoot once auto capture is triggered. Shooting will continue for the selected time, even if the trigger conditions are no longer met. Let's leave it to off for now. The wait after shooting setting will do exactly like what it says. So once you're done, just click OK, and then your settings will be saved. Now you are ready to test your setting. Just press now on the I button, and you can start to start the auto capture by pressing on the movie record button. To end the auto capture mode, just press again on the movie record button. To review your setting or to readjust them, press on the I button, and then you can readjust or change the setting that need to be readjusted. And to exit the auto capture function altogether, just press on the delete button, and now you are back in normal shooting mode. Back in the auto capture menu, what we did before was just to adjust preset 1, but you can also copy that preset 1 to different preset, or rename that preset, or view the preset setting. To do that, just click on the right arrows of the direction pad, and then you can view the settings that you set in the user preset 1. So those are the criteria that we set. You can also rename the preset, and then don't forget to save it by pressing on the zoom in button. And then you can also copy that preset 1 to, let's say, preset number 5. Once you have several presets being saved, don't forget to choose the right preset before you then start the auto capture feature. And how about the fine print? As I mentioned earlier, some settings in the auto capture might not be available according to the lens that you are using. And with full manual lenses like this Laowa 45mm f0.95 lens, which does not have pin connection, you will not be able to use auto capture at all. For f-mount users, if the lens have pin connectors but does not autofocus with the Nikon Z9, and then it means you will not be able to use the subject detection criteria and the distance criteria. To know more about what lens actually autofocus or does not autofocus with the Z9, please have a look at one of the video that I made. If your f-mount lens autofocus with your Z9 but it is not an type E lens, and then you will be able to use motion criteria, subject detection criteria, but you will not be able to use the distance criteria. Type E lens, on the other hand, can use all the free criteria, but with a small restriction. Type E lens are like this 105 1.4 E lens, the 200 to 500 millimeters 5.6 zoom lens, but also like this 70 to 300 IFP E lens. So with those type E lenses, the only thing you cannot do is actually to fine-tune the distance criteria. For third-party Z-mount lenses, you will have to test it yourself, because, for example, this 85mm 1.8 autofocus lens from Nikon, it behaves like a type E lens, so I cannot actually fine-tune the distance criteria. However, according to Nikon, Z-mount lenses are fully compatible with the auto capture feature. You will be able to fine-tune the near distance by rotating the rear dial and the far distance by rotating the front dial. And here is a bonus tip for using the auto capture function. If you plan to use it quite often, then it's quite annoying actually to dig down to the menu. I would recommend putting it on your My menu settings. To do that, go down to My menu and then add items, go to shooting menu and then add there auto capture, and then once you're done, just go back and then you have now auto capture in your My menu. You cannot directly program one of the function button to show auto capture, which I find a little bit strange. And you cannot actually put it in the I button, and I hope Nikon will change that. But there is a dirty workaround to deal with that. Remember, we already put it now in our My menu item. And what you can do is actually program a button. And then let's pick one button. You can pick any of the buttons here in the custom control shooting. I will choose FN2, for example, and then what you can do here is like access top item in my menu. And because now the top item in my menu is actually the auto capture, as soon as I press the FN2 button, and then I'm already at the auto capture function. So that's it for this video, and until next time then, bye.